Welcome to Sports Talk with Kifu, and I'm your host, Kifu Njabulo Wagamahlamu. And today is a very special episode. I'll tell you why. This man played for one of the greatest teams there is to ever play for. They call it Title Town. That man, he has played along Aaron Rodgers, he's been around the presence of Brett Favre, played American football, was on your screens, and then he went on into the bigger screens and he started being an actor, and now he's a businessman and entrepreneur. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Michael Montgomery. How are you?
No, thanks, man. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. It's actually so fun having you guys around because it literally shows the people that watch this a different side, because I usually do South African interviews and I also mix it in with American or Great Britain or wherever interviews.
Yeah.
So that I don't get too stagnated, and not stagnated in such a word, but so that people don't only get one-sided stories. I'm trying to get a lot of stories, and so that we can tell sports stories. That's all what it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, how did you start? I know that your mother was a basketball player. So, how did you start playing sports? Was she the reason that you mainly started playing sports? And how was your life growing up?
She definitely opened my eyes to possibilities because I saw sport and be in different places. So I definitely saw it from her growing up and what she's been. She's been in Russia, all over the country, overseas, playing in the Olympics. So I saw sports as a way to travel, open up my horizons, and not only that, financial reasons. So, she was like a catalyst that just kind of propelled my ambitions to be a professional athlete.
So, when I was doing my research, I heard that, or I also read that you moved around a lot growing up. How did that actually affect you, or how did you feel? Because you make a few friends now and then oops, I gotta go. But how did that affect you and your personality moving forward as an adult?
Growing up, moving around, it was I say it was challenging, a little bit challenging because you make some friends and you got to move every other year, you know. But growing up, I thank for those moments because I had opportunity to you know uh, be around multiple people from different diverse and different nationalities, people who don't think like me but still get along and still work to a common goal. So I cherish those moments moving around. um, it kind of felt like I was sheltered and I was shy in a sense, but sports came in and allowed me to open up, be more outgoing, outspoken, and overall be a better person.
Yeah. So now you first start playing basketball, but how is it playing basketball and having your mother, or your mother was also a basketball coach? How did that happen? Did she push you to that extreme level?
No, I kind of just pushed myself to the extreme. I remember when I was young, I always had goals of being, a professional athlete, either NBA or NFL. It was one of those two. And, seeing what she accomplished, I wanted to, duplicate what she accomplished. So she really didn't really push me. I already had that ambition early on. So she really didn't have to push me. She just had to, show me tools to be better. So and plus, I always liked when she would watch my games. Anyway, it felt like I could, show off in front of her. So and how it was set up in high school, she was, the girls, the varsity boys and the varsity girls would play at the same location. So the girls would play, varsity boys would play. So she would get the chance to see me. I'm a the apple don't fall from the tree. So, I had to show I could ball and, tear down things. So it was a great experience. I really enjoyed for her to see that and to show that, look, I got a little something. I got a little something from you, not much, but I got a little something from your talent, genetic genes. So
Yeah, and by the way, his mother is a Hall of Famer, so yeah.
Yeah. I know. I told I got a little smidge of what she accomplished. And it's funny, she's actually here visiting me today. So it's super cool. So I told her I accomplished a little bit, not much, not like 25% of what you accomplished. So I say it was still a great career, a really great career. Yeah.
So now, how do you get into football? Because you are a basketball player through and through in the beginning. So what makes you make the change into start playing football? Because you end up being like first team in state for both, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I moved around a lot, and my last 2 years in high school, I figured I'd give football a shot. And because I always thought football was a great way for me to be a better basketball player, because I'll be able to lift weights, work, it'll help my mentality to be stronger in the weight room. I always thought football could always affect my game in basketball, make me a better basketball player. So that was one of the, I guess, the only reason I did start playing football, because I thought I was like a basketball player through and through. And so when we moved to Center High School, I went out for football, and I really loved, the combativeness, the aggression, the violence, the up front, either I'm gonna win or you win type of attitude. So body style and the way I play with effort, it came naturally for me, So I really started making a lot of plays a lot early on, than because I always was just fascinated by tackles. I love tackling people. So every time I was in, I would try to, they say, all you gotta do is just play hard and run to the football. And I'm like, wow, that's yeah, just play hard, run to the football, and use your hands as a defensive lineman. So I'm like, man, this is easy. So I played it, and I just developed a love for it. And it just kind of everything just elevated when I started playing football.
Yeah, and when I was doing my research, it said that in 2 or 3 weeks after playing, your coaches said you could go pro. Did your coaches ever say that you could have gone pro in basketball after seeing you for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, let's say in high school? But in football, they said after 2 or 3 weeks, you could go pro. So did that really affect you and how you changed sports, because you were still first team in basketball?
It did. For some reason, I didn't think I was tall enough in basketball. I know it sounds crazy, but you see LeBron, he's 6'9". Kevin Durant, 7 feet. And I don't know. When I looked at basketball as a long-term thing, I still felt like I wasn't tall enough, and football would be a lot easier, because one thing, when I started to take football serious, and the coaches kind of like, look, if you just play hard, you kind of produce the numbers you did in high school to college, you have a great shot at being in the pros. So what I did was study statistics, stats, what the guys in college was what their tackles, their sacks, their tackle for losses, what they was doing. And they was getting looks and getting drafted. I just need to produce what they did. So I was a very big on statistics guy. If I have 100 tackles and 10 sacks, in the Big 12, I know I have a great shot of being in the NFL, or at least get a look. So I just told myself, I always told myself, man, and it's till this day, when I was in high school, people laughed at me. They thought I was crazy. I was going around telling people, I'm a made man. I'm going to be a professional athlete. I'm going to either go pro in NBA or NFL. One of them's going to shake. And everybody was laughing at me. They thought I was crazy. They're like, man, you ain't gonna go nowhere. You better send this application in and go to Tyson Factory. But and that's the only play we going in East Texas. But but yeah, just spoke into existence. I worked really hard, had a mentor in the house. It was a blueprint that was set up. So I just had to follow through and stay focused on achieving my goals.
Do you know that it's usually the craziest ideas once they work out, everyone like, oh, we already knew that. I'm like, Brad, but you were saying I couldn't do this just a week ago.
Yeah. It's funny because one of my best friends in high school, his dad, we started talking, and he like, yeah, I remember you used to say that. And I was like, man, I thought this dude is crazy, man. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, look, man. And I was telling him, I said, it's all about stats when it comes to defense. If I go get 100 tackles, 10 sacks in the Big 12, I'm going to get drafted.
Yeah, and being in better competition just puts you at a better standpoint in terms of getting picked by scouts or even getting drafted, because you're just in a better league. And before you move on to the Big 12, your grades stunk. You've admittedly, and that's what I've like. You're like, now my grades weren't good enough. And how did
yeah, they was bad.
So how did you flip that mental switch when you went to junior college to be like, now I need to work hard, and now you started to need to be more self-aware and more self-conscious and actually put in the work in school to up your grades? How did that happen for you to flip that switch and be like, that's where I want to go, and then this is what I'm going to do in order to get there?
Yeah. Well, tell me when I was in high school, son, you need to get your grades up. You need to get your grades up. If you want to go to a big school, you got to have big school grades. And she was a teacher and a coach. I guess, knowing I had dreams of being, a professional athlete, I know, I had to go to junior college. And, it was actually a blessing in disguise. The switch came when I took a visit to Navarro Junior College. And, the difference between other schools and Navarro was, academic plan and academic structure for you to get back to a Division I. So it took all the pressure off, the academic advisors, the teachers, the coaches. It had one sheet of paper that you just held up, and you put it on, and you look up, say, hey, if you want to go back to Division I, you want to go to a big school, these are all the classes you need to take, all the hours you need to have, all the credits, and you have to maintain this GPA. And it just put it real simple for me. And that kind of like flipped the switch and took all the pressure off everybody else and put all the pressure on me. And it was a great experience. I had great coaches at Navarro, Coach Lawrence. So it was a great, Coach Fletcher. It was a great experience, and it was a blessing in disguise that went to what I went through with Navarro.
So you go to Navarro, and guys, mind you, this guy studies for 2 years, no breaks.
Yeah, no breaks. It was no breaks. I think he had to pass like 85 hours in 2 years, 2.5. I did into it like 1 year and a half, but you really had to just take summer semester, mini semester, winter semester, fall semester.
So now you go to in junior varsity, you hardly take any breaks. How do you think that you actually getting a heart attack was also due to the stress that you actually also put on yourself because you're an athlete and now you're studying so hard in order to get to your goal that you really want to achieve?
Yeah. It was when I had the I guess the heart attack. It was I was born with a congenital heart disease called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and you're born with an extra vessel in your heart, and your heart pumps irregularly fast because you have a extra vessel that you was born with. And it was things where I went through my life where it would come, and for some reason I thought I was just fatigued, or I would get like too excited in the middle of a football game or athletic play. And I guess everything just built up to that moment. I was I passed. I guess you could say I passed all my classes. I got Division I qualified. It was the first day at Texas A&M, and I was just so excited to make a difference. And I'm trying to take somebody's spot. So I'm on second team. I'm hustling everywhere through drills, through practice. I'm hustling. I'm trying to look. I only got 2 years left. I'm at this big Division I school at Texas A&M. And the one thing that was on my mind was starting. So I wanted to out hustle everybody, practice hard in everybody, make a positive impact. And plus the heat, in Texas heat. And, I don't know if you've ever been to Houston or you ever been to Texas during the summer in August, it gets hot, like 115 to 120 degrees. So, and we're on 40 pounds of pads and we're running and I'm up here trying to make things happen. And then all of a sudden it hits me. And, for some reason it hit harder than ever. And that was when I got a little passed out and came to, and the doctor was like, hey, we gotta, go to Austin, get you checked out. And found out, I was born with a little heart disease and had to get surgery. So, but thankfully for the A&M staff that really saw the problem, that I had to get surgery and get fixed. So it's just saved my life.
How did you feel at that moment? Did you ever feel like you were going to play, or because now you don't know if am I ever going to play again? Because right now your entire plan, your master plan is I'm trying to get to the NFL. So now this huge hurdle, because so far you've been facing a lot of hurdles and you've overcome them. So how do you feel when you face this certain hurdle?
At the time when it really happened, I couldn't breathe. I never felt like this where I couldn't breathe. So when it happened, I felt like I was gonna die because I couldn't hardly breathe. And then I came to, and then they talking about, you got to get surgery. There's people that died from it because a lot of times in sports they test physical, but they'll never test your heart. So they don't. So everybody's watching this test. Go get tested. Go get tested on your heart. Make sure your heart is right because you never know what might happen. And if you're competing seriously in the system to get the surgery, and when I got the surgery, they said I just go through some EKG testing to make sure my heart was could be ready to compete at a high level. So I went through a series of, I think after the surgery, I went through, I think like a month of athletic testing for EKG testing to make sure I was healthy and ready to compete. So, but it all worked out, and I had faith that it would turn out to be good.
That must have been hard. And you keep on, your entire story as you're actually so far quite the proof that if you want something bad enough, you'll do anything, you'll do everything possible in your power to actually get to that point where where you want to be.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, just going through the situation with getting my grades right, and then when I got my grades right, boom, that that happened, and it was
Mm.
just one of the scariest moments ever in my life to go through that. But thankfully for the A&M staff to see that, to come to me as I was going through that issue, and just give me the proper surgery I needed to get back.
Do you think that that moment ever affected you going forward in terms of how you dealt with things mentally? Because you're like, I could have died at that point. Do you think that flipped the switch or that changed you somehow?
Well, I think it didn't. Well, it made me more like humble and made me like thank every moment I have, because and also when that happened, I started doing research about the complications and what people that
Mm.
went through it, and I also part of the American Heart Association's ambassador. So every year we do like a heart walk to raise awareness and to give back, because a lot of times when kids are competing, they compete for physicals. They do physicals, but they don't check their hearts. They don't check their abnormalities and or any congenital issues that might pop up. So it made me more humble. Made me think, every day is a blessing, and to go out there and work hard and never take a play off.
Huh. And so now he gets to the Big 12. You finally take someone's spot and you literally you literally go out there and beast mode, because you might have never been the quickest, because that was everything in your everyone said you're not quick enough, you're not strong enough. Like,
Yeah.
you've literally had everything thrown at you and you've literally overcome it. Where did you get all this resilience from?
I think it's all about performance. I never got caught up into how strong I was and how fast I was. I knew if I was going out and getting those stats, I think my performance on the field spoke for itself.
So do you go into the so you go into the draft? So at that moment, what are you thinking when you're going into the draft? Are you thinking I'm gonna get picked, or are you thinking, my chances are a bit iffy, and if things don't go well, how will I deal with it?
Yeah, I thought I had good high hopes. I was first team All Big 12. I got offered to play in the East West Shrine game. I played really good, and I got invited to the Senior Bowl and performed. In the Senior Bowl, that's where all like the high draft picks are performing, like really projected, 1 or 2 or 3 round. So I performed in that, and I thought I had overall good chance. Even though the NFL Combine, I really didn't test as well as I wanted to, but I still felt like what I did on the field mattered versus bench press or how fast are you. So I figured, look, if they put on the tape, they show I can play. So I just leaned on, I was gonna hopefully go. I had high hopes going third or fourth, but during the draft it didn't work out that way. But still, I got in and made the best of it.
So you're a sixth round pick. So now, guys, it's usually first and around second round picks are usually safe for the cut. You guys in the sixth round, how do you survive the cut your first season?
Just doing what you've been doing, performing, practice. You got to perform in the games, but I think really set you off is how you practice, because a lot of times, the lower draft picks, you're not getting in the game until late third or fourth quarter. during preseason games, because a lot of times the first team and the second team players, they're going to perform most of the games, and the rookies and the low draft picks, they're going to come in late. So you really don't have that much evaluation on tape, but your best way is to go in, practice, play hard, and when you get in chance in the games, just try to perform. So I was a performer. I knew, like, I would try to get sacks and get tackles. That was my main focus. So get off a block and get to the football. So I knew, I achieved that, and work hard and play hard to the end of the whistle. I can maximize my chances.
So you start going from there, right? And you get your first paycheck. What do you buy? You get your first paycheck.
Man, oh man, that's a long. Let's see. My first paycheck. What did I buy? You know what? I bought an Escalade. Escalade. That was an Escalade EXT. It was 2005 Escalade, Reptile Blue. That was the car I wanted when I was a young kid. And I always said that was the car I wanted when I was a kid. So I bought an Escalade truck, Reptile Blue. So that was one of my dreams car when I was little.
What? That's all you wanted. With first big purchase was like, I'm gonna give myself an Escalade. I got the money now.
Yeah. That was my big purchase. I remember I was in college. I had this rap, and everybody used to call me Made. And I'm like, and I used to rap. I said, "It's your boy Mike Made. You can catch me hopping out of Escalade, with a fresh tape of fade." That's when I had hair, but you know what I'm saying? I had that rap that, Mike Made, you can catch me hopping out of Escalade with a fresh tape of fade, because I'm paid. But nah, that was one of my big purchases that I said out when I get this money, I'm gonna be me an Escalade.
That's that was a really interesting story. And you've been calling yourself a made man from the point when you were 17 until that day you kept saying, "I'm made man."
Yeah. I was a made man. There's a little video. I might post it today. There's a video in high school. I kept saying, "I'm a made man. I'm the most electrifying two-sport athlete in the world." And they were like, "This dude is crazy, man." I'm like, "No, I'm serious about it." So, but just saying, like, spoken in existence, man. I was a crazy kid back then.
It's amazing that you and Lofa have said the same thing. He said that he also spoke it into existence.
Yeah.
And then you go on, and then now you start ended up being a starter. So how does it feel when you start becoming a starter? What's the difference besides the paycheck, obviously?
Well, the paycheck stayed the same because you still in your contract. Yeah, but being a starter, you don't have to practice as much. You got more, instead of doing special teams. A lot of times you're second string, you're doing special teams. But when you're a starter, you just all you're doing is just defense. You don't have to do no special teams, no nothing. And it was like because I was used to just being on the field doing everything, like special teams, warm-up drills, everything. But when you're a starter, you're doing a lot of sitting around a lot. I do like a little individual drills, but when defense, you do your team defense, team pass. But other than that, that's it. So you're not practicing that much when you're a starter, because they want to just reserve those starters to the defense, the team defensive activities in the practice. So it was a lot less because I'm used to just working hard, just battling through practice and special teams and everything. So it's less strenuous on your body when you're a starter.
So how was it playing with Aaron Rodgers?
It was great, man. Me and Aaron Rodgers, we got drafted in the same year together, 2005. And and I can always attest his practice, made him who he is today. He was a guy who, for 3 years he was, behind Brett Favre. And a lot of times I was playing more than him when because he wasn't a starter, because I was coming off, playing more. So, and I saw how hard he worked in practice and on scout team offense for the defense. And he really took that serious, and it just kind of helped him elevate his time. And not only that, the receivers he had, when he came in as a starter, he had a great cast of receivers to throw to, from Jermichael Finley to Greg Jennings to Donald Driver to James Jones and Jordy Nelson. So, he didn't, it makes it a lot easier when you have really good receivers to throw to when you become a starter.
So how do you think that Aaron Rodgers being behind Brett Favre really helped him to become as great as he is, because he learned from someone that was already great and he learned what it took to be at that level?
I think so. When you're not, because a lot of times, your first round, you're just getting thrust out there. And a lot of times, and also it has a lot to do with personnel. Because a lot of times the first year quarterbacks, they're coming in, they don't have a good offensive lineman, and they're running for their life most of their first or 3 years. So, and it's really hard to really solidify yourself as a really good quarterback when you're not getting protected that much. And so, he came into a situation where, he was a low draft pick. He went to a great team, Green Bay, already had a good quarterback. They had a good lineman. So he came into a good situation where he had good protection and good receivers. So he had to just showcase his talent and not have to worry about running for his life, every third, second down. So it helped a lot better when you have a great personnel around your team.
So yeah, Patrick Mahomes is running for his life lately with that O-line, and now he knows how Lamar Jackson used to feel, especially during those playoffs.
Yeah, or like any quarterback for the Jets or the Texans. Yeah. Any quarterback for the Jets, the Texans, they're running for their life. They're running for their life a lot. The Colts, the Colts, but it goes to show you,
and
O-line, man, if you want to have a good quarterback.
And what happens is, but how did you feel when you got cut? Like you played the entire season. I'm like, now about to go to the playoffs, and then you get cut, and then they go on and win a Super Bowl. Like, how does that personally make you feel?
A lot of my friends on the team got a Super Bowl, so I mean, there's no love lost. It was just it was a sucky feeling for me that I didn't make that run with them, but still, overall, it was still a great feeling, and to see a lot of teammates win and win a Super Bowl. So it was an awesome, good experience to see that.
You're a better person than me. Huh? I would have been angry. Like,
I know, I was upset. I was mad in the mud, but I was happy. I was mad and happy at the same time. I'm like, man, I could have got me a ring. But overall, I was still happy.
It's different when when people need to start now introducing you as Super Bowl champ.
Yeah. You get a lot. You can get your after career, post career. It sounds a whole lot brighter when you have that Super Bowl champion in front of your name. So I totally agree.
Yeah, I would have been angry. I'm like, bruh, I was part of the entire journey with y'all. Y'all decided to kick me off at the lot. Like, this is close to the end. I'm like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
everything's supposed to happen for a reason, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is. So in Tennessee, you said your mother gets into the Hall of Fame. How did that make you feel
Yeah.
seeing your mother getting inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Man, it was a very awesome experience, man. I mean, everything was A1 experience. Some all her accomplishments and seeing her, get inducted to the Hall of Fame was a great feeling, the whole time I was thinking like, man, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. So I gotta really bust my butt and and get these statistics and stats and all this so I can get in there too. So it was a great accomplishment. I was so happy to see that for her. And not only, a great athlete, but a really great person. So, I know my mother more than closer than anybody, and to see, who she is on the inside and what she accomplished on the outside was just a blessing and amazing feat to see. So
So you move so whilst you're in Tennessee, like you decide that you think nah, it's over. So now when you know that it's over, so how does this whole acting come into play? Because I think it comes in because you've always been a performer. You were rapping in the beginning. You love to actually perform for the crowd. So how does the whole entire acting career start off?
at that well, it started. I was doing real estate in Houston, and real estate. You just got to call. How I started business. I would just call all my friends and tell them I'm selling homes, and anybody looking, let me know. So I called an old teammate of mine. He was in California, and he said they was doing a Will Smith movie, and they needed a football player. So I was like, sure. He gave me the casting out office and gave it to me, and I sent them. And they called me like 10 minutes, like, hey, can you be in New Orleans? We need football players for this big long scene. So I did it. Had a great time, and it was very therapeutic for me. Just playing football again, but not playing football. So it was a great way to step outside of who I was when I started getting into the acting stuff. So it was a very refreshing experience. So I just want to pursue little stuff around Texas, little short films here and there, and I made. I think I like got in the top five. I almost won an award for a short film I did in LA, and decided to just go to California and just see where it takes me.
And you've actually you've worked in a lot of things. You've worked in a lot of movies and series. So how so a lot of people don't understand. But did you guys actually rehearse the dialogue before you actually went on screen and said it?
There's a lot of times where they do. Yeah, there's a lot of times where you rehearse, or you do like a take just to see how it goes, and then you want to do it again. So, it depends. A lot of times, depends on the director. A lot of times, directors want to just hey, let's shoot it fresh while it's on your mind, the emotions and all that. And a lot of times, other times, people want to just rehearse it first. So it really depends on the director and what he wants and how it comes out on the first shoot.
Hmm.
So, but a lot of times, a lot of films I was on, they just call the camera and go. And you just got to be prepared and ready.
Mm. So how was it? This was entirely different to a football game where every snap is a different play. Now you actually had to be repetitive. Most likely, sometimes you take like 10 or 11 takes on something.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It was totally different. The film industry is more like a hurry up and wait type of thing, and when you do it, you just gotta do. When you do it, it's a scene where you gotta do multiple times. So even though you mess up, you still have an opportunity to do your best take, or the best take the director thinks. So it's all about what the director wants and what he feels like that's the best take. So a lot of times, you might shoot one scene and be like, "Oh man, that's great," or you might shoot like 4 or 5 scenes to just get to trap that emotion he wants. So
Mm. So, have you ever? So, how was it working with Vin Diesel and Chris Tucker? Like, how was it working? Like, your career has actually been actually amazing because you've always worked with amazing people.
yeah, working with those two was amazing, man. You know, they was on set and it really down to earth people. You never suspect those people that type of cachet and stardom would be so down to earth. So working those guys was amazing.
So, how does your Gotham role come about?
There was a casting website called Actors Access that I was just going around, just trying to submit myself for auditions, and I was down to travel anywhere, and it was in New York, and it was Gotham. I didn't know what it was. I just know they needed a guy that was my size, so I submitted it, and then I found out it was for Killer Croc. So I submitted it. They wanted me to come down, do some fitting, meet the new cast. It was super cool. I had a chance to meet like the all the cast. I was in the fitting room with. It was a great experience. Had a chance to meet all the cast of Gotham and played villain, one a superstar villain in the Batman series. So that was super cool.
And so how do you go you go into entrepreneurship, right? And you once you go into entrepreneurship, your first stint you fail. How does that, and you end up suing your ex-business associates? How does that happen? That, and what type of business was it, if you can actually share, that you ended up suing people?
It was uh, real estate. It was just naive at the time. I was a guy just playing football and figured I trusted the person I was working with, and this it goes to show you, whatever you invest in, you just got to learn the business in and out, not just be a football player and trust people is going to be in the best interest. I don't care who it is, your friends, family, or anything. So whatever you do or whatever you're at you know, you know, things you're interested in and businesses, work for it.
Yeah, trust someone. Don't trust anyone, guys. Especially if anything that involves a contract, just make sure your lawyer checks it out. It's basically what uh, what happens, because you can't really just trust people all willy-nilly. Like when there's money involved, people can turn on you just like that. So that's really what happens. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh man, I definitely appreciate that, brother.
Thank you so much.
All right, be blessed, and I'll get at you later.
Yeah, I'll get at you too.